Hey guys, MCU Collector here with another figure review. Next up is the long-awaited top 10 for 2022. Here we are almost a full month into 2023, and I'm finally getting to the top 10. So I'm only going to have two top 10 videos. I think I'm going to have a top 10 MCU Marvel Legends and then a top 10 comic Marvel Legends figures. I didn't really collect enough outside of Marvel Legends to do like a top 10 of any action figure that came out in 2022. I mean, I guess I can include G.I. Joe Classified, but I still haven't even opened all of the ones that I had gotten in 2022. In Power Rangers, I cut down significantly, so I really couldn't do a top 10 for Power Rangers, so it'll just be the two Marvel Legends top 10s. But here we have all the MCU, so I think it's only fitting that I would start with the MCU figures. So I have here 15 different figures. So 5 of them are going to be honorable mentions, and then I will have my top 10. Some of these were actually kind of tricky. There's some really nice things in terms of sculpt and things like that, but for whatever reason, I just kind of chose some figures over the other. And if you ask me on a different day, I'd probably change the list. It's one of those things, and I know every YouTuber is going to be saying that, like, oh, if you ask me at a different time, we're going to have a different list. That shit's true. Like, it's really hard sometimes to pinpoint exactly which figures you like the most. You know, at times when they release, you're like, man, this figure is just freaking awesome. And then, a couple months go by and you completely forget about it. That's kind of how some of these are. I'm like, the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, those came out in 2022. Holy crap. Like, I completely forgot. Like the Defender Strange was a pretty cool figure. America Chavez, I actually really liked from there. But that is going to be the first honorable mention. It's going to be the America Chavez figure. Not quite in the top 10, but I do think that it was a solid figure release, and I was very happy with it. So one of the honorable mentions, America Chavez. Moving on into some of the honorable mentions, and this is going to get a little tricky. So the classic Loki figure was done really nice. The Richard E. Grant head sculpts are pretty good, but for whatever reason on this figure, I was just kind of like, they're all going to tumble. I was left wanting more from this figure, and I know like the body proportions and things like that, everyone's saying like, hey, that's, realistic for a man of his age and things like that. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. But there's something about it, it's just really weird. Like, he's got these really weird small feet, and it's just the execution of the figure, right? His body type, like the hips, it's just a little bit odd. And for me, that's just kind of took it out of the top 10. If you were to ask me at a different time, I may even include it. But for now, this is one of my honorable mentions, classic Loki. Moving on with the honorable mentions, we're going to go into a Build-A-Figure, because we have 3 Build-A-Figures here that were MCU. So we have Atuma, we have Khonshu, and we have the Infinity Ultron. And the Infinity Ultron is a pretty good figure. I actually really like it, but the problem is just severely undersized. Now, in the show, he could change his size and things like that, and then if you pop the Killmonger head on there, then it's perfect. So, I get that. But then it's like, I mean, if you were really focusing on just the Infinity Ultron himself, I feel like he should have been an inch or two taller, and it would have been so much better. And for me, that's the reason why he's going to drop down into the honorable mentions and not make the top 10, simply for that. A thing that would have been really cool and probably would have pushed it forward is if he came with like an alternate head. Now, I know Build-A-Figures, they only come with so many extra parts, but if there was a secondary head, which a lot of Build-A-Figures have had, like with the top faceplate up and you saw the Vision head sculpt into there, that would have been probably a whole nother story, and I think I would have enjoyed it a little bit more. So that is why Infinity Ultron is in the honorable mentions of my top 10. So moving along, and it's kind of like, well, which figure? What's going to be? Next is going to be the Nakia figure from Black Panther Wakanda Forever. This one I'm putting in the honorable mention simply for the fact that this has just like the most incredible head sculpt, I think, for the Marvel Legends for this year. I think this is just the best one for the actress Lupita Nyong'o. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her last name correctly or not, but that head sculpt is just absolutely amazing. The figure is pretty cool too, don't get me wrong, but it's just not quite enough for me to include in the top 10, but that head sculpt alone just really put it into the honorable mentions. I really want to highlight how well done that was. So that is the fourth honorable mention. The fifth honorable mention, this is going to be kind of funny. People are probably going to really not agree with me, is actually the Atuma Build-A-Figure. Mine, every now and then I have a hard time getting him to stand. The feet are real thin. I think I don't enjoy the figure as much because we didn't really get to see a huge amount of him in the movie. He had some great fight scenes with Okoye, but man, I think I really wanted to see more from Atuma, and size-wise, I thought he was going to be a lot bigger, and that's just, maybe I was getting my hopes or my expectations a little too high, when it came time to see him in the movie. There's a lot of really nice detail in the head sculpt. It's done really, really well. And this is another one of those, if you asked me at a different time, I'd probably include it within my top 10. But for now, he is the fifth honorable mention. Maybe let's call it like an 11th, top 11. He would take the number 11 spot. But here we have the Atuma Build-A-Figure. For something is just lacking a little bit for me. So now here we have 10 figures that are going to be a part of my top 10. So let's go ahead and get into the list to see which one it hits at the number 10 spot. Here we go. Okay, so the number 10 spot goes to He Who Remains. Jonathan Majors is going to play a major role going forward with the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the MCU, with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania coming around in just 3 to 4 weeks. February 17th. I got my tickets for February 16th. I am very excited, and I can't wait to see it. We got a new trailer and everything. It's just very exciting. So I think we're going to get even better figures of Kang. This here is the He Who Remains version from the Loki television series, which was my favorite Disney Plus show. The Jonathan Majors head sculpt is done really well. The figure itself is a little funky, as you can see there, but he has the purple coat, very accurate, but then his feet are kind of thin, and he doesn't do a whole lot, and the only accessory he came with was an apple. He should have come with Miss Minutes. That would have been pretty awesome, but I am very happy to have He Who Remains, and that's why he is in at number 10. Let's go on to number 9. Okay, number 9 goes to She-Hulk. The She-Hulk show, I thought, started off really, really, really well. I loved the show. I wanted to see every episode. I couldn't wait each week to see the next episode and see what was going to happen. And then the finale hit. I understand what they did in the finale, and it's very comic accurate, despite what people may think. It just didn't quite work for me. It was funny, but it didn't hit the mark for me, and I didn't enjoy it as much as others. I also didn't hate it as much as some, so it just fell a little flat for me. But the figure is really nice. I like the size of it, the double jointed elbows. The figure looks really good, so I'm really happy with the action figure that came out, and I was pleased with the show up until kind of the final part of the finale. It was just a little disappointing, but I loved everything about the show leading up until those last few moments. But a solid figure for sure, coming in at number 9. So let's move on to number 8. Okay, number 8 goes to Ned Leeds from Spider-Man Homecoming. So this came in a 2-pack with Peter Parker. Peter Parker is not on my top 10, not in my honorable mentions, because I don't think those head sculpts look too much like Tom Holland. One of them was better than the other. The other was definitely a cracked out version of Tom Holland. But Ned Leeds, I think they nailed the look of the actor, and I'm trying to think of his name, Jacob Batalon. I think they did a really good job, especially for a figure that we're talking a movie that came out 4 or 5 years ago, or whenever it is. At this point, we got all new sculpt and everything here, and I thought it came out really nice, and it's cool to add to the crew. We already had an MJ figure, so now we have Ned Leeds to kind of join, the friend group there. So I was very happy with it. Peter Parker, was okay. The head sculpts just take it down for me, but from a civilian standpoint, that figure was awesome. This one is definitely really cool too. So he was my number 8. On to number 7. Okay, number 7 goes to the new Black Panther figure. This is Shuri, of course. The figure is very thin, very small. The actress is very thin, very small. But the figure itself was executed nicely. Lacking in a little bit of accessories. I think she only came with one set of extra hands. A Shuri head sculpt would have gone a long way, but I understand that for spoiler reasons, there was no way that they were going to include that because they wanted to keep it a secret. It was not a very well-kept secret, but but they did want to keep it a secret up until the release of the movie to know who the new Black Panther figure, who was going to take up the mantle of Black Panther, and of course it was Shuri. But this is a solid figure that I'm very, very pleased with. But yeah, there it is, number 7. Black Panther Shuri from Wakanda Forever, and we move on to number 6. Number 6 goes to Hawkeye, Clint Barton, portrayed by Jeremy Renner. So Jeremy Renner, unfortunately, was in an accident a couple of weeks ago. He actually posted to Instagram, it was either today or tomorrow, I'm trying to remember. He had like 30 broken bones or whatever it is. But the awesome thing is it looks like he's not going to lose a leg, both legs, whatever the case may be, whatever the speculation and rumor mill was. It looks like he is going to make a full recovery as far as we could tell. It's going to be a long road for him. And I don't know what that means for the future of Hawkeye. I think the most important thing is that he gets the physical therapy and everything that he needs to do before even thinking about, how he's going to portray Hawkeye in the future. That shouldn't be anyone's concern. Will it suck if we don't see Clint Barton again? Yeah. But it is what it is. Just, we hope for a speedy recovery for Jeremy Renner, who is from Modesto, which is where I am, where I live, which is really cool there. And it's a solid figure, not the super articulated or anything. And there's not a whole lot to the design, but this is what he wore in the show. And the show is actually like my second favorite Disney Plus show. So there we go. So I really enjoyed this Hawkeye figure. So now we move on to number 5. And of course, number 5 goes to Kate Bishop. So I'm sure we will see more of Kate Bishop. I think the latest was that we will see her in another show or movie before Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. So where she will pop up again, we don't know. The figure I really like. We got butterfly joints on a female figure, which I don't even know any other female figures at this point which had butterfly joints. So really like it here. The biggest complaint that I had here is that the pink of her jacket was just really too bright. It should have been a much darker color, but I was very pleased with this. I thought Haley Steinfeld did a really good job. The likeness to her is really good. And again, Hawkeye was my second favorite Disney Plus show. So there we go. So number 5, Kate Bishop. On to number 4. Number 4 is the Jane Foster Mighty Thor figure, the forgotten about MCU movie from this year. I still have yet to see this movie for a full second round. I watched everything MCU multiple times, but Thor Love and Thunder, I have not gotten myself to rewatch a full second time. I think I've played it and had it on in the background, but paid no attention to it whatsoever. And I just started to rewatch from the beginning, and I have not gotten very far, and I turned it off. I was just not a fan of Thor Love and Thunder. There was just too much humor. Anytime the movie needed to be serious, it never committed to being serious. It was always something for laughs, something stupid too. Like it was really bad. I was super disappointed in it. But we got an awesome Mighty Thor Jane Foster figure. I don't have it here, but the Natalie Portman head sculpt is amazing on this figure. But it is really solid release altogether as well. She has some problems standing up. I think that's going to be part of the problem, is going to be the cape kind of weighing it down. But I was very happy with this figure, and I hope you guys liked it too. The Ravager Thor was almost one of my honorable mentions, but didn't quite make it on there. His jaw, the Chris Hemsworth jaw, looks a little too wide or something on it, but it was a solid figure. But I think this one definitely was the best figure from that wave. Even that Groot was a pretty good figure, but it was, the body we've seen before. The head sculpt was the only thing new. But Mighty Thor coming in at number 4. Let's move on to number 3. Number 3 goes to Namor, or Namor, if Namor was saying his own name. Here, they think this is a solid release. I was very happy with this figure. The diaphragm cut, I think, looks very nice and natural. The head sculpt to Tenoch Huerta came out really nice. I thought Namor was awesome in Wakanda Forever. He was definitely my favorite part of the movie. So yeah, so the Namor figure, definitely a solid release. I like the way it looks. I like the way it came out. I was very pleased with it. That's why he is the number 3 figure. But number 2 and number 1 go to a very special Disney Plus show. Not my favorite, but was my 3rd favorite of all the Disney Plus shows. Maybe 4th. WandaVision might be my number 3rd. My number 3. WandaVision, Moon Knight, depends. Moon Knight didn't quite have the best ending, but let's go ahead and check out the number 2 figure on this list. Number 2, Moon Knight himself. Here we have the Moon Knight figure. Not quite at number 1, but a solid release. Mr. Knight was a crap figure. Well, yeah, it was kind of crap. The head sculpt was good. The vest was good. The feet were good. The legs, I mean, it is what it is. But those shoulders and those arms are just really, really bad, which really took down that figure, unfortunately. But we had a very, very nice release in this Moon Knight figure. If we would have gotten an Oscar Isaac head sculpt, that would have been absolutely insane. But for now, we got this Moon Knight, which has some awesome sculpt and detail to it. And I really, really like the way it came out for a really good show that just unfortunately fizzled out at the end. You know, when you have a giant Khonshu and a giant, what was the... I can't think of it, but when you have 2 gigantic Egyptian gods fighting around, it's just kind of goofy a little bit, in my opinion. It would have been cool to get a Scarlet Scarab figure if Hasbro would have made one, and who knows? You know, we know that there's going to be more Disney Plus figures because they've already teased and revealed the Gamora figure with the Thanos armor. So we know we're getting more Disney Plus figures. So, you know, eventually I'm sure we'll see an Agatha, but hopefully we get a Scarlet Scarab. I'd be very happy to get that. So Moon Knight and number 2, which of course our number 1 is the Khonshu Build-A-Figure, of course. And it's almost not even fair because of Build-A-Figure, and I don't normally rank Build-A-Figures with normal figures, but when it comes to MCU, we didn't have a massive amount released this year. We had a fair amount, yes, as we normally do. Some years it's a lot more heavy. This year wasn't as... There was still a fair amount, but this Khonshu Build-A-Figure is just absolutely nuts. Like, if you have not had a chance to get this figure, I don't know what you're waiting for, because he is absolutely amazing. You know, I do know what you're waiting for. You're not a big fan of the wave of figures that you have to get for Khonshu, and I get it. I get it. Like, Howard the Duck, really? But the Howard the Duck figure comes with the body, which is just, like, massive in that package. But this thing is just absolutely incredible. Hasbro absolutely nailed it on this figure. This head sculpt is absolutely amazing and crazy, and I love the little clear effect things like to kind of make it look like his head is floating there. Just an awesome piece, an awesome figure. Extremely happy with this Khonshu Build-A-Figure. That is why he is the number 1 MCU figure of 2022 in my own personal opinion. So you guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How would you rank the MCU figures for 2022? Remember, this is, you know, opinion-based videos. My list is going to be different from your list, or it might be very similar. It could be way off. And again, some of these picks, it's like on a different day. I could put it somewhere else on the list. I could take it off the list, put other figures on the list. But there's no doubt in my mind that the one constant thing of a top 10 for me, no matter how I'm feeling, is that this Khonshu figure would always be number 1. So you guys let me know your thoughts, your ranking down in the comments below. If you guys like this video, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit that join button to become a channel member and be a part of the MCU Collective. A new thing for channel members that I'm going to be doing is more videos. Anytime there's a new Marvel Legends reveal, anytime pre-orders come up, I'll do a quick video giving my thoughts on those figures and you know what I thought. So I just did one for when the Game Reverse Spider-Man went up for pre-order and what my thoughts on that were, along with the Franklin Richards and Valeria 2-pack. So if channel members, make sure to check that video out. And then if you're interested in joining, those are some of the things that you have to look forward to as part of the MCU Collective. But that's it. If you guys like this video, again, hit that thumbs up and do all that. But as always, guys, thank you for watching.